Hi, this is
Noeleen.
Noeleen. Noeleen has a very, very interesting disease, if you like. One that you probably rarely have heard about, called Morgellons disease. And maybe the best to describe that is your good self, in your own words.
We probably had an infestation in the house of some form of mite, and it went eventually, but it didn't go as far as I was concerned.
You mean other members in your family had the same type of infestation?
It started with the others, and it left. It disappeared with treatment.
Other members of your family?
Yes.
Yes.
But I didn't.
But can I say that we treated another member of your family, which, in my opinion, looks very alike.
That's true, yeah. The other member of the family has issues as well.
Yes, of course.
But at the time, I suppose I didn't connect the two.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that there was any connection, or medically it wasn't established that it was the same.
Okay. And tell us more about how you're affected by this disease,
Well,
this very unusual disease.
This disease is a 24/7 issue. There wouldn't be any time that you could say that you felt comfortable. The only time I felt comfortable or got any relief was maybe after a shower or after having a bath.
Yeah.
Other than that, it was absolute torture.
Describe torture, Noeleen. Was it very uncomfortable? Was it very itchy? How did you feel generally? Were you depressed with it?
Suffering from lack of sleep, fatigue.
Yeah.
There was no time to concentrate on anything else.
You mean your whole focus was occupied by this uncomfortable feeling?
Well, it was itching. It was like you'd be stabbed by needles on the nerves of the skin. It was absolute painful, and red patches on the skin and burning.
Yes, and you took along some samples here a couple of weeks ago, and on white tissue, and you could clearly see little black and unusually shaped mites, I would call them.
Well, very unusually shaped. Maybe long stringy things.
Yes, there were like very thin needles.
In black kind of structures.
Yeah.
Of different shapes, and also white, absolutely snow white. Long structures. Every one of those structures were very hard.
They were, yes. And you told me that after your bath, the base of the bath would be covered with with those mite types.
Yeah, they were in the bath, they were in the towels,
Yeah.
and there was a lot of them on my hair.
Yeah.
All over the hair, but particularly around the crown
Yeah.
of the head.
And was that very itchy, that area at the top of your head there?
It wasn't so much itchy, but you could actually feel them coming out by the million, I suppose.
Yeah.
And those particular ones on the top of the crown of the head were like glitter.
Right.
And they were bluish in colour, ink coloured, and you could wash forever. You could continue to wash and continue day after day, but the same thing happened again. You had the same number again.
Okay. So what you're really saying is that these mites were procreating themselves somewhere internally and coming out onto your skin. And you told me also that when you washed in the basin that the water was ink colour.
In the latter stages then, before I came to you, I noticed it for a while, but then it became extreme.
Yeah.
Extreme. When I washed my hands, the water from my hands were ink. It was blue ink, and it was a thick solution as well, an oily solution. And
I think you described it to me as a syrupy type of solution, is that right?
it was like a syrup that maybe you would have in tin fruit. It was, in my opinion, lymph fluid.
Okay, yeah.
It was thick, and there was plenty of it.
But the most unusual part of this was the ink colour. And every time you washed your hands, this
ink.
Colour was in the bowl. And after, I think we treated you a couple of times, and I remember asking you, was the water still ink coloured?
Yeah.
And you told me it wasn't.
Well, after the first visit, when I went home, I had a shower, I washed my hands as well in the sink, and the blue colour had gone, and a lot of the syrupy solution as well.
Had gone as well?
Yeah.
This was after one or two treatments?
This was after the first visit.
After the first one, that was in Tullamore, or?
It was in Tullamore.
Yeah. Okay. And how many weeks ago was that?
That's about 3 weeks now, give or take.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And since then, you know, how have you felt? You feel that there's an improvement, there's less of an infestation there, or it would appear to me that the blue ink type discoloration in the water, when that disappeared, obviously there was changes.
Well, I felt at that point, you know, when my hands were blue, and when I washed them, this is absolutely abnormal stuff. When somebody is washing their hands, if they are dirty, then you expect dirt. But if you have washed your hands several times a day and you've had several showers before that, it's not normal.
No.
It's absolutely abnormal.
Yeah. And when I looked at your hands for the first time, we could see the blue.
My hands were blue.
Yeah. This area here and around the thumb and these areas were very red. Yes. And a deep reddish purple colour.
They were blue, right, I suppose, from here, right to here. And this area here was remarkably noticeable. It was similar to a burn, and it felt as though it was going to burst, really.
Yeah.
It was very hot, and
you felt the burning in your hands as well, did you?
I felt my hands were on fire at times, and I also felt they were really cold, and you know, pure blue, and my feet as well from here in the shower
Yeah.
were blue.
Yeah.
My ankles and my hands were swollen. I couldn't get my hands into any kind of glove. You know, I normally take a medium-sized glove, but any huge gloves like large, extra large, nothing. They wouldn't go in. They were too swollen.
Yeah.
And this ankle in particular, it was so swollen I couldn't walk on it at all,
Yeah.
prior to the first visit.
Yeah.
After,
And then after that?
after I came home that evening, I noticed after I had a bath that on that ankle that there was loads of these white kind of
Mites.
white long things like needles, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
You
they-
took
they
some
appeared-
samples along,
I took
and
the samples.
yes, we saw.
I could
Yeah.
never get samples of those because it's quite difficult to see something white in a white bath or a white shower. But these, after that first visit, I could actually take them off my ankle, and I brought them and I actually showed them to you.
You did. Yes. And
I was
clearly
particularly
I could see.
keen on doing that because I felt that was important, the vast difference between the colours of these things.
Yes. Yeah.
It's kind of
Well, I mean,
quite
it
unusual.
was quite easy to distinguish. Some of them were black, others were lighter colour, and the white then, of course, and this was the black and white all mixed together in the bath, or was it just? Would it depend on the heat of the shower? Would it depend on the heat of the bath? What was the story there?
I believe that all these things were there, but considering that white is difficult to see, I think that it wasn't actually until the first visit, after the first visit here,
Yeah.
that I was able to get a sample of these.
Yeah.
Because of their colour.
Yeah.
It's easier to see black, it's easier to see
Well, of course.
Blue ink stuff, but it's much more difficult to see white.
See the white, particularly with white bath
If you
or
have a
white,
white bath, a
base.
white towel,
Yeah. Okay.
not
Yeah.
easy. And I was particular as well, when I actually brought that sample, I didn't put it on a white background. I had it on a red
Yeah.
background.
Yeah.
so
Sure.
that it was
Sure.
clear.
Yeah. But what impressed me most of all was to after the first visit, you came to the second one and said, "Look, the ink colour has disappeared." That impressed me most of all.
I felt at the time that I was getting very seriously ill
Yeah.
with this, and it was a turning point really. If I hadn't got that result on the first visit, say,
Yeah.
it's quite possible that I'd have to go back to the GP
Yeah.
and possibly into hospital, because if you're sort of leaking lymph and
Fluid, yes.
draining blue stuff from your hands,
Yes.
it's not a good place to be.
Well,
It's
of
a
course.
critical
I mean,
place
the
to be.
psychological effect here must have been horrendous. It must have been so difficult for you to get through every day, knowing that you had this problem that couldn't be perhaps, or was it treated? Was it identified? What did the medical people say on this?
Well, the medical people actually hadn't made any diagnosis on this. They felt that the treatment had been complete, and that I needed to continue on with various creams and moisturisers. But I did go to a scientist, a friend of mine. She's not a friend, she's a professional actually, and she had I gave her the sample, and she identified this as Morgellons.
Yeah, just up a little bit.
Yeah,
This.
she identified these this condition as Morgellons disease.
But she'd worked with this as a scientist in America or somewhere else?
She came from South Africa.
Okay.
She's in Ireland 2 years.
Okay.
This March, and she said that she didn't think in her career that she'd actually come across this.
Okay.
She had studied them in South Africa, but she hadn't come across anybody in her career.
Yeah. And how did she treat you for that? What exactly did she do?
She actually contacted a professor in America.
Yeah.
And he had the disease himself. And he gave her his treatment.
And what was that?
Well, she said to have a bath in Epsom salts,
Yes.
washing up liquid, biologically washing up liquid, and an enzyme with a lot of K.
Vitamin K,
vitamin
yes.
A,
Which
and
would be for
also,
the liver. Yeah.
Yeah.
Vitamin K. Yeah.
And she also said that this man, who was quite an expert now, I suppose, in Morgellons,
In America.
said, yeah, that she said to treat with magnets.
Okay. Yes. And did
So-
that work for you?
Well, I suppose her diagnosis was not long before I came here.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
And so I started on that treatment, the bath that I've just said, and she said to allow this to dry in, don't dry it off,
Okay.
air dry or dry with a hair dryer, and put on glycerine right from top to toe.
Yeah.
And that was a relief at last, because whatever this solution, that bath solution, and the glycerine, it did help with the awful symptoms.
Okay. Okay.
Now,
But you know, as I see it, you know, it's fine, and it did help to treat the symptoms. But were these mites procreating themselves internally and coming to the through the skin and manifesting in the bath when you had shower or washing your hands, etc., etc.?
well, there was still there, but at least the symptoms had decreased. Her view was to reduce the numbers, and with the magnets, the magnetic treatment, that when she examined these things under the microscope, she saw that they were strand-like.
Yes, yes.
And
And some of them appeared to be short little strands and very, very thin and brittle type.
Yeah. But she said that the magnetic treatment will actually break the strands.
Okay.
Now, I had got magnets myself, but she has more stronger ones that I didn't get as yet from her.
Okay.
But I'd say that I had gone to her and she had diagnosed the condition about a week or 3 weeks before I came to you.
Okay.
But the difference, I feel that scientifically, she did extremely well.
Yes.
And she was a credit, really, because she was the first person that dealt with me that actually put a name on this.
Okay, and the name she gave it was Morgellons.
That's correct. And she
which is very, very rare.
I gave samples to the hospital before that, many samples, but I didn't get any result. So when she examined the sample herself under her own microscope, I had a result within 2 days.
Very good, very good. And so at least it's comforting to know that this disease that you've had for so long now has a name.
Well, it's very important that it has a name, because without a name,
You can't treat
you're
it.
not getting anywhere.
Okay.
You have no condition. You have symptoms, but you have no condition.
Exactly, exactly.
And that's not
Okay, and since this is your third or fourth visit here, how do you feel since we've started to work with you? What progress have you made over the last 3 or 4 visits or whatever?
Well, I suppose before I came here, I felt that I had a diagnosis. I also had somebody with a science background that obviously knew what she was talking about.
Yes.
What made me come here was that I had not looked up Morgellons before. I knew nothing about it, so
Okay.
I hadn't had any knowledge of any kind.
Yes.
And I didn't bother looking it up either. I felt that that I had this for quite a few years, and the condition in some cases with all that treatment can take years.
Okay,
to
okay.
heal.
But it appeared to take a different route when we started to work together here because of the ink-like discoloration in the water, and after the first session that disappeared, which was quite significant in my opinion.
Well, I suppose I will just say something else
Sure.
before we come to that. I felt that, if my treatment will take years, then that is, after spending 2 or 3 years in this condition, I didn't feel I wanted to go for another 3 or 4 years, that I needed to use my own initiative here and to think outside the box, really. So I thought to myself, I need divine intervention, and I need to get it quick too. Other than that,
You say you need to get it quickly. Why? What exactly do you mean by that? Does it mean that you were so depressed, if you like, or what have you, with putting up with this condition for 3 or 4 years? You felt that you were at the end of your tether. Is that right?
no. I felt that I was looking at my own symptoms, and I knew that that kind of symptoms is not a good place for anyone to be in, and they're abnormal symptoms.
Yeah.
So I thought to myself, I have gone through with the exception of my GP, who was absolutely super,
Yeah.
and did his very best.
Of
and
course.
has done all along.
Yeah.
That the expertise actually here in Ireland, in my case, were not getting to
The root cause of the problem.
Yes, yeah.
Well, maybe this will create, medics to study the problem of Morgellons and have a look at it and do some research, because it appears to me to be very, very, very real indeed. And as someone like yourself with medical background, have you ever discovered anyone with this before? Have you ever treated or worked with anyone with Morgellons?
No, I actually never heard of the disease
No.
before. I had not heard of it until I was told by name her, Natalie Blumenthal,
Yeah.
in Shrule, who actually happens to come from South Africa.
Yes. And she was the first to make a diagnosis.
First person that ever
Very good. Okay,
injury.
okay.
Morgellons.
Yeah.
I never heard of it ever before.
Yeah. Well, look, you know, I believe that we're making progress here. You appear to have improved a lot in the last few weeks. This is my reading of, you know, the situation.
I suppose I had improved in the first visit.
Okay,
Enough for me to be satisfied to return.
okay.
Because I had got rid of the very severe symptoms of what was actually happening to my hands and, you know, the fluid that was coming out of my hands.
Yeah.
And I thought that myself was critical before I came. Yeah. I knew I needed to make decisions quick for my own health. And after that, then I felt, you know, hopefully we'll be able to get rid of these symptoms. The reason I came to you was I had the name, I had the diagnosis, right, but I needed something else. I needed somebody that would be able to do maybe what isn't in America. I don't know whether they have faith healers in America or what they have, but I happen to have them here.
Well, we're delighted to work with you, a very, very unusual condition here. And maybe as a result of all this, the medics might take it on board to do a study on all of this and see if there is a medical solution to the problem of Morgellons.
I think they have, not here in Ireland, but in America, they have done some research on Morgellons. And they were, from looking at it on the internet, they have very little funding there even. I doubt if there's any research done in Ireland. I'd say it's very rare and very few doctors have even heard about it.
I see.
I also feel that if you didn't happen to be where you are, and Natalie Blumenthal happened to come from South Africa, I'd be in some serious mess here. Yeah. And I feel also that maybe the combined treatment, your treatment,
yes, of
and
course,
her treatment,
yes, absolutely,
would be quite necessary, and I believe that the two of you should meet at some point.
Yes, that'd be nice.
I think
we could exchange ideas. And
well, I think that it's not so much ideas. She has the scientific approach.
Of course,
you have your own approach.
Yes,
and I think a two-pronged approach in this case with this particular disease would be very beneficial.
I'd have no problem with that at all, and I
will see her shortly, and I
will
will tell her
okay.
about you.
Very good. Well, I look forward to perhaps meeting up sometime, and maybe we can discuss. And
I'd say she'd be delighted to meet you, actually.
Well, I'd also be delighted to meet her.
Because she actually is in Ireland 2 years. She is inundated no more than yourself.
Okay.
With
yes.
patients.
Very good. Yes.
So I think maybe the two of you are working from a different point of view or an angle, but I think that she has a lot in common.
But we have the same outcome in mind.
Well, I think that she will be very impressed. Maybe she does know quite a bit about this, your area of it, because of our country of origin. Yeah. But definitely she would be interested in meeting you. I can guarantee you that. Maybe
we can set up something, or you can, and I'd be more than delighted to meet
I think it would
with
be
her.
Quite interesting. This,
yes.
Because
let's get you a little bit better
first,
and we can have a look at it from that perspective as well, and exchange views. And it's nice to know that a scientist has taken up your problem and identified that problem
Well, I think,
together with the medics. Yes.
I think, if I want to just say a few things here, I think that your contribution, where I was at my stage, was vital. I was lucky that I made the decision. I was thinking about it, and I thought to myself, I think I'm on the right track. It's sort of sixth sense on this one.
Okay. Yeah.
I was also very happy that she came to Shrule in County Mayo out of the blue altogether.
Yes.
Two different people with two different gifts combined on this one.
Okay. Well, it's been a pleasure to discuss it with you, and thank you for voicing your opinions, and maybe someone out there will see this little video and benefit from it. Yes, of course.
Well,
and also
what will actually happen really is they won't suffer like I did for so long.
Right.
And that is what it needs to be. The fact that they can sort of access people here in Ireland without having to travel maybe to America or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And it's the start of knowledge and learning about this illness that really needs to happen.
Yeah.
If anyone else does suffer from this, it's a very devastating condition.
Debilitating as well.
It is, you suffer for real with this.
Yeah.
It's not like something scabies or something like that. It is life-threatening, really.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much again, and we look forward to seeing you in the near future. And obviously, it takes time to cure, if you like, treat this problem, but I believe that you've made progress over the past
3 weeks.
3 weeks, and also with your scientist in Shrule. And thanks again for your input, and we hope very much to see you soon again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. God bless.